and we are entering year number 4 of your home for Sixers basketball, 97.3 ESPN. And right now we're joined by the head coach of the 76ers, Brett Brown, as we get ready to embark on another season. Coach, I guess it's flying by. It's year number 3 now, huh?
It is, Mike, and we're ready to go. We've got some good young prospects, and we're excited to go to Stockton.
Well, it's good to have you guys back on, and, of course, being back in the area adds a little excitement to the start of this season. And I know this is that third year, and a lot of people are anticipating that you guys would be ready to make that big jump. Are you anticipating that year number 3 for you is a big jump in terms of wins?
I don't think so. I think that when you look at what a lot of the critics of Vegas or different people say, we have a very young team. We again have the youngest team in the history of the game. We have a younger team than we had last year. I think that we're going to have improvement, continued improvement in a lot of areas. It might not reflect itself in a dramatic way, the way that you'd want to see on the win side of things. We're growing our program. And I think the continued improvement with individuals and trying to get some of our draft picks on the court, those types of things I feel like are going to be more on measuring stick as time unfolds.
Yeah, and obviously you just mentioned the young players. You got Jahlil Okafor, and what did you see from him that you really learned from him in the summer? And then obviously what you know about Nerlens. What are you going to try to accomplish this camp with those two guys together?
Oh, I mean, where do you begin? It's going to be the first time, really, and it's a good question. I think it's going to be the first time, obviously, those two guys have played with each other. You're trying to take Nerlens, who's been primarily a 5-man, and make him a 4-man. It's a completely different position than he has been used to playing the large majority of his career. And then with Jahlil, just trying to grow him to be educated on what the NBA is about, both from a verbiage standpoint, on the terminology. It's a different ref sport. It's different rules. It's 8 minutes longer. You can go on, and so it's just taking a 20-year-old like I just got done talking about, and finding ways to move him forward, both from a physical standpoint and a mental standpoint.
Yeah, you see if the production of those two guys together should be a tremendous challenge for you. It'll be fun to watch what you end up coming up for those two guys together. And then, of course, this offseason, you guys went and got a shooter, Nick Stauskas, who, guys have been able to see with Team Canada a little bit. Didn't get a lot of playing time last year in Sacramento. Do you think he's a guy who's going to get a lot of minutes? Do you hope that he gets a lot of minutes for you guys?
I expect him to. He was highly touted coming out of Michigan and was the 12th player chosen in the draft, maybe even the 11th, I believe, in very high draft pick for a reason. And, I think that if we are anything, we are a program that develops. We're a program that creates opportunity. And I think the collision of those two things give somebody a chance to jump into the NBA in a big way and just have a chance to grow their game. And I'm looking forward to coaching him. I think that he's a gym rat. He has been a gym rat his entire life. He loves playing. There's a swagger side of his game that interests me, and he can shoot. So all those things make me excited to coach him and bring him into our program.
I know during that draft a couple of years ago, a lot of people were excited when he was on the board, when you guys had an opportunity to pick. People were hopeful that he was a Sixer, so I think there's excitement with him being here now. We're talking with head coach Brett Brown of the 76ers. Will be at Stockton for training camp. I guess while you have a tremendous challenge incorporating the two big men, you also, I guess, have a big challenge. It might be your biggest, of figuring out who's going to bring the ball up and run your team. Is that something that is a wide-open battle?
It is. And, we have 6 point guards currently on our roster. And I expect probably to keep 3 out of those 6. 2 of those 6 won't be ready to play for physical reasons. Tony Roden and Kendall Marshall are injured. Kendall will probably be back toward the end of the month, maybe a little bit sooner. Tony probably more toward the 1st of November. But that quantity of players in that position that you just mentioned is going to be extremely competitive, and I think that over the next month we hope to identify probably 3 and try to move that position forward after we identify who that is.
Would it be accurate for me to assume that the 2 guys who will not be ready potentially are possibly the 2 guys that you would anticipate getting the most minutes with Marshall and Roten?
I mean, I think that's fair to say based on their previous NBA experience. Those 2 players that you have just said, are point guards, legitimate point guards. They have played legitimate NBA minutes and NBA games. Those other people that you can see on the roster, Scotty Wilbekin and Isaiah Cannon's gone from 2 to a 1. T.J. McConnell, the Pittsburgh kid that played at Arizona. Those type of players. Pierre Jackson, a small, very dynamic point guard, more of a scorer. I feel like what you just said is true. They have more NBA experience that would make me, probably pay attention more to them initially. But those other people, you never know. It goes back to the Stauskas thing. Just with opportunity and being in front of NBA coaches and playing time can create many opportunities.
One thing, Coach, I would assume, of course, I'm jumping in your head, but as a coach, it's got to be a little bit frustrating with all the turnover. Do you anticipate less roster turnover this year, like settling in on 12 guys and letting them run this year and finding out which of these 12 are ready to make that jump when you guys make a jump next year?
I'm guessing when I say this, my gut feel is it will be less. There will be less movement with this year's roster than there has been in previous years. Having said that, there will always be in these next, this year and next year, a fluid side of the program where,
sure,
it's a rebuild. We're trying to find players and, create opportunities and find, like we just talked about, perhaps our starting point guard for now and for the future. And so I feel like when I look at this year's roster, I get excited because I think there will be more stability, as you just said, than in my first 2 years. But I say that, with a hint of trepidation, knowing that the program is still fluid and it's just part of the nature of trying to grow a young team.
Brett Brown and the 76ers, of course, down at Stockton University. They'll start camp. I can't believe we're at that time of the year where the hockey's going, the football going, the basketball's following pretty quickly. And the 76ers who have, what do you have, 18 guys, 20 guys signed for camp? Is that 20?
That is, Mike. We got 20, and we're going to have to, weed that out to get to that NBA maximum number of 15, and it's just always competitive. I mean, you think about it. You take the youngest team in the league, and I think I'm right. I think, again, it's in the history of the sport. You take those 20-year-old kids, and you put them into a gym, and you let them fight for NBA contracts and minutes. I'm just really excited to go to Stockton and, let the city of Philadelphia see I think a better version than it was last year of what we're trying to grow. And it's just, I think with Jahlil Okafor, the talented Duke player and a legitimate post target, and Stauskas and the growth of some of our other guys, I'm excited to get back on the court with them.
Well, we're excited to have you guys back on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, Brett Brown and the 76ers will get ready for season number 3 with Coach at the helm. And, of course, as he mentioned, still building this thing. And it's unfortunate, obviously, with Joel, most likely not playing at all this year. But even if Joel plays, I'm sure the NBA championship is a little premature. So everybody out there, hold your horses, and hopefully he'll be able to get back out there. Coach, it's always a pleasure to have you on, and we look forward to having you guys as our partner again for another season.
Yeah, excellent, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Coach Brett Brown, everybody.